Good morning and welcome along to another episode of Dundee United Tales. We are back for the start of the Europa League group stages, and of course this is the one we've been waiting for. We got the scare of our lives last time out. We nearly didn't get here, as you may have remembered from Tuesday, but we have, and as a result we are into the group stages and we start against Vincent Kompany's Anderlecht today. We've also got to try and continue our domestic recovery after losing our first two games of the season, and we've got to try and get through in a League Cup as well, a competition we're defending as it stands. So thank you for everyone coming along this morning. I appreciate you waiting for me patiently. El Gaming, good morning, thank you for popping in. As always, come and get involved down in the chat, come and get involved as you would. Craig Savage, you can't see my TV. You can on the podcast channel later today, but you can't this morning because it's still the same on here. And I have managed to resolve that issue now, Craig, so there we go. El Gaming, good result for Luton yesterday. Yeah, we rotated the whole side and still snuck through in the FA Cup, so that was good. So, fourth round draw, here we come. And last time we got there, we went to Norwich and had a very memorable weekend, so hopefully it'll be the same again. I'm kind of hoping, and I know this is horrible and unsporting, I'm kind of hoping for like a Chorley at home or something like that, because Luton in the FA Cup, the prize money is still important to a side like us. We're not your traditional championship team. But thank you for everyone popping in. Great to have so many of you here already. Please do chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make such a difference. Nanana, Dylan, welcome. Appreciate it. Carl, hello as well. Stoker concentrating on the league. To be fair, it was one of our former boys, wasn't it? Jimmy Justin, who started it all off. He was sublime. As what's his name? Stephen Warnock spent the whole first half telling you how he wasn't as comfortable at left back, despite the fact he got his move after a whole season playing at left back for Luton in a League One title win. There you go. You'd have thought that little basic bit of research had been done. Thank you for popping in, everyone, though. Dylan, on your run. Fair play to you. Getting in the New Year spirit. Jack, morning. Come on, Chorley. Very good result for them yesterday. But I am secretly hoping that we get them at home in the fourth round so we can get through comfortably. Because I trust us to be professional enough to do that. And hopefully we won't have any more outbreaks in the squad. That's the fingers crossed there anyway. So thank you all for coming in. I hope you're looking forward to this morning. We should have, if things go to plan, 2 Europa League games, both away at Anderlecht today and then at home to Besiktas in the final game in the morning. We've got a double header against St Mirren and we've got St Johnstone in the league as well. And really, looking at the league table, if we want to be top half again, if we want to be competing, we've got to beat those two sides. And look at Ayr, how they've started. 5 games, 9 points. Luca Cannell's coming on loan. He's doing a really good job for them. They got a few more after as well. Kieran Slicker, we had him at Burnley in last year's live stream series. Christian Dennis, a striker that's quite well known. Previously played for Stockport, Notts County and the like. And Robbie Cundy on loan from Bristol City. So after getting in a few squad players, they really have used the loan market well. But there is no doubt in at all that Cannell is still the star for them. And I wonder how he's played so far. No goals, no assists. I take it all back. I bet Christian Dennis scored, didn't he? No, he's not played yet. So where on earth are all their goals coming from? It better not be the lad we lent them. It is. Look, Darren Watson with a brace away at St Johnstone. He got a brace at home to Livingston. Well, at least he can't play against us. That's one positive. Scored the goal against Celtic. He might be one of the top scorers in the league. 6 goals in 5 games. Well, that bodes well for our future anyway. But we've got an early kickoff today, and it's away at Anderlecht in the Europa League group stages. So I hope you're looking forward to it. I hope it's going to be a good result, but we'll see how it goes. Ravenite, yeah, I'm actually here for the stream for once. Good to have you in. Do appreciate you joining along. Give Chorley a televised game versus a Premier League team. Well, you never know, do you? Because, I mean, I'm looking at ones such as Stevenage at home to Swansea, which wasn't a proper televised tie. I'm looking at Chelsea Morecambe today, and it didn't get picked because of Crawley Leeds, because the BBC want to flog their documentary they did with that reality star. So it is such a shame, but unfortunately. And what on earth was Arsenal Newcastle doing on TV last night? It's quite clear that Shearer and Wright picked it, or were involved in the picking of it, or they picked it because them two were there, and then they went, why has this one been picked for TV? I mean, it's a little bit disingenuous, isn't it? And I like both of them, but still. Warnock was eating humble pie. Yeah, he was. Stephen Warnock. I mean, I don't know what he was on about, to be honest. But as you say, it all backfired because he got proven wrong every step of the way. It's not a very good secret. Have you heard the news from the Discord about the ban chats? Yes. No Arsenal. Well, I might just ban Premier League chat because I'm not a big fan of Premier League football anyway. We don't cover it on the podcast. Yes, we all watch it fleetingly when it's on TV, but it's not the favourite style of football for me. So we might just say, let's not talk about the Premier League. Notts County, don't get involved in that. They're a good side. Good club, like them. Looking forward to Marine v Spurs. Yeah, there are a couple of good ones today. Newport Brighton this evening as well. That should be good. Well, yeah, Craig, they're all televised around the world. But I meant, if it wasn't for the pandemic, the original TV picks. They're the ones I'm talking about. Arsenal, Newcastle, two tiny teams. Well, that's why. And the reason why I'm really fearful next year of BT losing the rights and them going to BBC and ITV is that although it's great they're all on free TV, the only time they're going to get to show live games from the big sides. So are they just going to pick every United, every Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and we're not going to get any of the good ties, or many of them? It does seem a shame, but... And the media talk about, the FA Cup's value being lost, but they're the ones causing it. Jack Payton, how do I get onto the Discord? There's a link in the description for most of my videos, and if you search Load FM, I'm sure you'll find it as well. Either or. Ben Kennedy scores an injury time equaliser for Crusaders against Cliftonville. Well, we said he'd be important, so that's a good one. Craig, Arsenal, Newcastle would always be picked. Yeah, but that's a bit of a sad thing for the FA Cup, isn't it? That's what I mean. That shouldn't really be top of the priority list. We've got to start to make choices as fans here, but I guess they're pandering to what they expect to be the most common TV audience, and I guess they're probably right if you look at the viewing figures, because those games always get bigger numbers because they've got more fans. But it is a shame for the FA Cup in general. But I don't mind that, but then they can't go on about the sort of loss of magic of the FA Cup when they're showing Arsenal Newcastle instead of, say, Stevenage Swansea that was on 2 hours earlier. It just seems a little bit weird and a little bit sort of hypocritical. Jack, no problem. Thank you for popping in. L Gaming, yeah, link in the description to the videos. Yeah, unfortunately, it's all of our lot talking crap, and then when I'm at work, the odd Premier League, let's say, heated debate pops in. Despite the fact that I don't think anyone in there actually supports a Premier League team, really. There's only probably 2 or 3 amongst the whole Discord. But let's go and get into this first game against Anderlecht. We've got no league table to review. What I have very quickly got to show you is we played Livingston off camera and snuck a 1-0 win thanks to look who. He did the heroics for us in the head coach, and on the other side of Dundee, or I say down the road in Dundee, Carlton Morris has produced his first bit of heroics here. Off the bench, scored the winner against Livingston. Will it earn him a start tonight? Probably not in truth. So I'm not really sure which competition to prioritise. I think we're going to judge it based on how we play tonight. If we do well against Anderlecht, we'll prioritise the Europa League. If we lose convincingly, we'll probably give it up. I am talking about putting Matt O'Reilly out the side and bringing in Mallon to the playmaker role and then Ray or Fuchs into centre mid, just to give us a bit more defensive bite. So I'm just seeing who's better out of the 2 of them. I think probably it's just about Fuchs. What I was looking at was trying a sort of 4-3-3 in this competition, perhaps playing with a holding midfielder. And we can do that later on if we're ahead or we're holding on to a point. But I really didn't want to get to the stage where we lost that front 2 the way they're playing. They're just starting to get goals again this season, so I don't want to change that. So we're going to get into the first game. It's basically, bar O'Reilly replaced by Fuchs, our strongest possible squad. And I just hope we can get a positive outcome. On the break, 2 up front in Europe. Will they be expecting that? You don't know. They've got Josh Cullen in the lineup, actually, a good player. We've had him on this channel at some point before. Can't remember where it was. I'm just seeing if there's any other ones I recognise. I don't think so. So we are going to talk to the lads. We're going to say there's nothing to lose here. We're going to drop to a balanced mentality because we can't just go and attack Anderlecht. And if we get through the tunnel interview, as Dundee United head away to Belgium, the touchline tablet's on the move again, and we've got a real chance in the Europa League. So let me know how you think we'll get on. Hopefully we'll do all right. And thank you all for joining as well. Well into double figures as always. Much appreciated. Please chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. Come and get involved down in the chat. I will catch up in a minute. Let's just see this first highlight as we're trying to play out from the back. Segrist picks it up in goal. He's got time on the ball. He's not really in a rush to get forward here. Goes long over the top towards Shankland and Laurent can head it away easily. Cullen breaks the lines. Find Matteo. Oh, it's too easy. And they're over the top again. In they go. Good block by Mengi. And it's cleared away. A little bit of a stutter on the match engine. But otherwise, all looking good so far. Let's catch up with the chat again. Dundee fans won't be happy. They won't. But let's be fair. I think most of you said, we can talk about the head coach now as the next episode's out today. Most of you said it would be the right move as Mark McNulty puts it in. A brilliant start, and keeping the front two has worked out because he would have been the man sacrificed. It is Anderlecht 0, Dundee United 1, and this side are just warming up, and we've intercepted it again. McNulty's got a chance to break through. If we can get 2 in 2 minutes, I will get excited. As Mitchell back to Finley, we're playing lovely football. We just look like we might get caught occasionally, and we do there. But yeah, I think most of you said that moving in the head coach would be the right thing to do. There was 1 or 2 who said I might be snaking on Dundee, but I begged them to give me a contract. I've won a major competition, taken them into Europe, and now the latter stages of a European competition, kept them in the top half of the Scottish Prem, and with 3 months to go, they won't offer me a new deal. Then get triple the money and a 2.5-year deal from another top half side. You have to take it. Don't forget, it's a realistic save beyond everything. It's a contract we couldn't turn down in real life. Discord is abusing Premier League managers. Yeah, apparently so. Charlie, Bristol Rovers Sheffield United still said before the game that should have been a TV pick. Was always going to be a good game. And it's absolutely right, isn't it? But why is that sort of game, as Anderlecht equalised, that sort of game, Stevenage Swansea, not on, and then we're watching a drab 0-0 between Arsenal and Newcastle in 90 minutes? It was an awful game. And even even Gary Lineker and the pundits, they sounded bored. They sounded absolutely bored to be watching it, which is not what you want to see on the flagship TV channel with the FA Cup coverage. And it was only picked because the 2 main pundits on BBC and Match of the Day are Arsenal and Newcastle fans. And it gave them a chance to do half an hour on a little running joke about who's won the FA Cup or not. And quite frankly, it annoys me. Yeah, but El Gaming, the point of FA Cup coverage, I guess when we were growing up in the earlier days, was show the best ties. Show the giant killers, the David v Goliath. And I know BT have got 1 or 2 others, but largely they've stuck to that. They've been brilliant with their first and second round coverage. And it's just a shame to see that it's gone back to this again. But it's not going to change now. Newcastle is one of the... but Arsenal is one of the big 6. So, yeah, but... Craig, don't do the was one of the big 6. They're on the way back up now. There are a few in there. It'll be a big 8 soon with Leicester and potentially Everton, won't it? So... John, welcome along. Thanks for popping in. Only a fleeting visit. Currently on episode 11, so just popping into the live stream soon. So I've caught up. I finished them today. Fantastic series and a great watch. You're very kind. Thank you for coming in. I'm glad you're enjoying the series. Unfortunately, it's just descended into a bit of chaos here because Josh Cullen is doing cartwheels, and that's because we've fallen behind. A good start, and it's all gone pear-shaped. It did not take long, and defensively, we've looked a little less solid this year, which is a cause for concern. El Gaming, it was the right move, yeah. Carl Patnevin for Hibs, I wish. I don't think we'll get him, unfortunately. So we reach half-time 2-1 down. And that's it, Charlie. That's what's wrong. The FA Cup is for everyone. The Premier League coverage that you have every week on the TV, that's for Premier League teams. Jack, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm only ever going to be discussing the young players. I know we have the role of Bond villains, although Lampard and Academy players may have halted that for a while. The problem is, Jack, that if Lampard continues to struggle, the way Abramovich goes, I don't know he'll see out the season. And it's a shame because, as you say, for the youngsters, he's done great things, but perhaps he's not been loyal enough to them this year. He should have given the others time off the pitch to bed in. Carl, got to think of the mortgage and kids, exactly. And as a man who desperately needs to get on the property ladder, the Hibs move is a no-brainer. We're now just 20 minutes or so to go, and I think we're going to have to make some changes. I think we're going to have to go bolder. We're going to go positive. We're going to make a couple of subs as well. Shankton's had a poor game, actually. The 2 wingers haven't been great. So on come Chalmers and Bolton. And we will replace Fuchs, who's apparently uninterested, with Glenn Ray in the middle there. Just give us that bite again. And with 20 to go, we just need to find a goal from somewhere, because 2-2 would be a cracking result. Timo Werner, I still think he'll be a success given time. Swansea probably been on BBC Wales. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to the BBC Wales coverage. They used to have it. No, that game didn't seem exciting, but as an FA Cup fan, that would be more appealing to you. But I agree, Bristol Rovers v Sheffield United is another great example. The way Sheffield United were playing, there was always a chance for shock. Thankfully, a few people came and watched our Bristol Rovers podcast after it, so it was good to see. Sheffield United would have just been because of their bad run. Oh, Man United, Watford, that was a pretty poor game as well. I mean, there was one player playing at his best, and aside from that, it was a poor game. Oh yeah, I think we know why. It's not right, unfortunately. Jack, what a screamer, yeah, absolutely. Paddy, welcome along, thanks for popping in. Arsenal-Newcastle, two Brem teams on paper, would have been a better game, as well as Arsenal being the holders. Yeah, the holders, I guess, makes a difference, but I don't think the BBC or anyone else thinks they're going to defend it. I think they've got a chance, but I don't think many will. Well, that's it. I guess the one thing I would say is because Arteta's job's basically on the line, and because Steve Bruce, to be fair to him, is one of the few Premier League managers who's always gone for the cups. So that's one of the few games where I guess they thought it wouldn't be. But again, when a Newcastle known at the moment, even their fans slate the way they play football. Who thought it was going to make an entertaining spectacle? That's my point. Speaking of Arsenal, Arsenal beat them 3-2 in the FA Cup, yeah. No game for Wrexham's. The England tests, I'm hoping that's on. It should be now. They've done the warm-up games and that, and it looks like they haven't had an outbreak, so they should be all right. I've been watching a Big Bash and a bit of Australia-India. I don't know how the second half of this morning's game's going. I watched the Brisbane Heat innings. Apart from Chris Lynn, they were pretty poor. Carlos Brathwaite was on absolute fire with the ball. And it's Rashid Khan's last game tomorrow, I think, if I remember rightly, before he's off to play international duty. Back to domestic action. We have got St Johnstone. Now, this is a bit of a banana skin, this, because they're bottom, 0 points after 5 games, a minus 10 goal difference. And we're going to be expected to beat them heavily, aren't we? Although, to be fair to them, they've played Aberdeen, Rangers, Motherwell, but then they've lost at home to Ayr, and they've lost at St Mirren. They've played in Europa Conference, qualifying. They got to the playoff round and just lost to Bucharest. Who have they brought in this summer? They've done some decent business. I don't know what they're doing all the way down there. They've still got Jason Kerr in the middle. We tried to sign him because he was transfer listed, but they wanted big money. Although now it's gone right down to 400 grand. So we might have a look at him in January because he's a proper centre-half. And we're never going to be able to keep Mengi after this year. They've got Liam Smith, who we released in the summer as their right back. He played for us in third last year. They've got Richie Hosler on the right wing, who of course we had at Dundee, doing really well in head coach. I don't know how they're on 0 points, and I worry this is the game where it all starts to go wrong for us. But we'll wait and see. Paddy, Scottish Cup draws at 11. I hope we get Dundee Derby and we can beat the wee team 6-2 again. Steady on. I'm sticking neutral on Dundee fence at the moment because I've managed both this year and both have given me a good time. I watched the Big Bash. Watched the game where Billings got out when they were in a strong place. Yeah, he did really well though, that game. He ran someone out at the start, didn't he? Then he went and smashed a half century. But it's a really good tournament. I enjoy watching it. Rhea, how are you? Thank you for coming in. Yeah, I'm well. I hope you are as well. Thank you for popping in this morning. Lovely to see new faces amongst the regulars as well. I hope you're all enjoying the live stream. Apologies for the bed hair, I should call it, shouldn't I? We're back to laziness this morning. Now, I did bring out a nice jumper for a couple of next week's episodes. Gave you a little bit of a less casual look. Craig, speaking of under 21 players, podcast channel after the live stream. Yep, so there's a special podcast coming out at 12 o'clock on our channel today about the Reserve League. There's been a lot of debate about it since the Villa and the Derby games. So we just sort of had a little 20-minute chat about it. And there's a mini championship predictions this midweek as well, because there's 3 games now due to the pandemic rearrangements which continue to happen. The Fountain of Youth Stadium. Is that what Hamilton's ground's called now? Jeez. Right, let's catch up with the reserves. We've got a game... This is the problem. We're playing every 3 days now. So can we really put a lot of players in the reserves? Even the youngsters. I'm almost tempted to throw the League Cup because I don't think that we can manage all these competitions. I don't know what to do with it. Do you know what? I'm going to leave them today and we're going to play fairly rotated in the cup. Again, when are the podcast streams starting as well? Because I remember you saying they're starting soon. I mean, the main hope for us was when we're allowed back in a room together. At the moment, obviously it looked like in December, we were starting to go to football again. It was starting to look a bit more normal. But obviously we're almost back to square one now. So I'd imagine once we're allowed to go back and do our Pro Evolution Soccer 2 evenings in Charlie's living room on Friday nights, then I'll imagine probably around then. So hopefully not too long. Craig, if Rod Stewart's not doing the cup draw, there's no point watching it. Oh dear. I've got to say, cup draws, I know the actual draws are exciting, but like the Champions League and things like that, there's some of the most boring things to watch in the world, aren't they? Ravenite, yeah, St Johnstone was the game we had yesterday, but it got called off because someone's forgot to turn the undersoil heating on. I did see that game had been called off. Ray, what tactics do you use? It sort of depends on the save. So in this one, we've just got a basic 4-4-2 because the front two are so good that we can't really rotate it. It's worked really well. In the Bangor save, we've played with a narrow diamond throughout. So we've always played the narrow 4-4-2 and that's starting to gel now after a couple of years. In the head coach, we've already played 4-3-3 with Dundee with a holding midfielder and 2 attacking wingers. Who else have we managed there? Arbroath, we played 4-4-2. Brechin, we played 4-4-2. And the club that we're joining today, we're going to be doing something different again. So I never really am one. I know a lot of people, they play with a certain tactic and then they try and work their teams around it. But particularly in something like the head coach, where your players are being dictated for you, they're being signed by somebody else. You've got to adapt to the players you've got. And it is a bit of a myth when people say there's one FM tactic that's the best. There's one that can exploit certain things in a match engine normally. But generally speaking, there's always 4 or 5 different tactics that can do well. It's just about suiting it to your players the best. Otherwise, it will never succeed. So I'd always say pick a tactic for your players rather than one that somebody tells you is good. That's my only advice, really. And I'm sure Carl will agree with me down in the comments. If you can get someone with a long throw and nail that, that'll work pretty well as well. So we've got a slight knock to Segrist today, but aside from that, I'm going to go for the first 11 and 18. I've brought O'Reilly back in centre mid, and Simon Eastwood is making his debut in goal. New backup keeper, of course, who joined in the summer. And then we'll rotate really heavily in midweek. So let's go and get into it. We've got everyone fit for this game. It's just how long it lasts. So Eastwood can be 21 because he wants a number 1 in his name. And into the game we go. Just the 2 changes made, one of which enforced, of course. Let's have a quick catch up again. I'll catch up with the chat very quickly as we go and get into the lineup. Let's see how we get on. Into it we go. 4-4-2 by the looks of things. It's going to be a pretty interesting game, this. I'm not sure what tactic they're going for, which is the thing that's going to make the difference for us. Hopefully it'll be a pretty decent one. It looks like it is going to be, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. And hopefully as we go and get into the first half, we'll be able to do all right here. Interesting. So we're going to tell the lads that we want them to keep going, do as much as they can. Hopefully they'll be all right. And fingers crossed we'll be able to keep on the front foot. But as it stands, not looking particularly good at the minute. So what do you think the score will be? Let me know down below, of course. And hopefully we'll be all right. Let's see what the score's going to be. First half we're going to get into. Should be a decent one, hopefully. Macca, good morning. Thank you for popping in. A brief apology if you lost me at some point there, or I lost you definitely, because unfortunately the internet disappeared. But I can see you all again now, so I'll catch up with the chat and get into the first half. But if you saw me scrambling around, I was trying to find the chat again. We've got Matt O'Reilly motivated, so we'll get into the first half. We'll be a bit more positive. And hopefully, we'll be able to get a win, because this is a game we should be winning. Yep, Tom, another clean sheet and win for Arsenal, but it wasn't great. It was a poor game. Paddy on the road to another FA Cup for the big team in London. Oh dear. Another Arsenal one. To be honest, they've always been a great FA Cup team, haven't they? Favourite formation this FML game in? I'm not sure, actually. I mean, all I would say is I've found that the front two has worked so effectively this year. I would say now, if I was looking at it now, I'd go the narrow diamond with Bangor, because this season it's really clicked. But prior to that, I'd struggled with it. So I don't know. The standard 4-4-2 here has been really effective and has served me at the most clubs. The 4-3-3, that's worked for me both at Dundee. Oh, good effort that by Mallon. It worked for me at Dundee in the head coach. It's worked for me off camera in my Crystal Palace save. I don't actually know. I think I'm too early to say I've got one particular one yet, if I'm being honest. What's yours anyway? Andy Carroll was playing, Tom. He was brilliant. Don't say that crap. Andy Carroll was brilliant last night. I mean, yeah, he should have scored that one. And what the flag was doing going up, I don't know. But Andy Carroll had a brilliant game. He held the ball up so well for them, took the pressure off. And as Paddy mentions, and we have the same with James Collins at Luton, he is the best defender in his own box. Oh, Richie Hosler's nearly scored. We are having a little struggle here against St Johnstone. I'm not a big fan of this. I'm going to fire him up, but it's not looking great at the moment. I would argue the visitors have been a slightly better side. And that is a concern for me. Carl, I exploit the long throws and corners with 6'8" centre-halves and a long throw of 18 at least. I know you always are. L Gaming, we're not getting into an Arsenal Man United one. Macca, morning. Thank you for popping in. Good to have you in as always. Air United doing well. Yeah, we were just talking about it a bit earlier. 3 wins out of 5. And the player we loaned them, Darren Watson, is the top scorer in the league with 6 goals in 5 games. So basically, we've sent them up to the top half. We're just trying to keep them up so we can have easier games in the future. We've already got rid of Hibbs and then nicked their best player, so let's try and do it with a couple of others. Well, L Gaming, they are the biggest team in London. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can argue all you want about not liking them. There is no doubt in history-wise that they are the biggest club in London. There isn't a doubt. And even in modern history, in our lifetimes, they have been as well, despite Chelsea's surge in the last 15 since the Abramovich era. Yours is the Gegenpress. See, I don't really use a Gegenpress that often. I think the first time you'll probably see that. In fact, I don't think I have used it. We're getting beaten by St Johnstone here, so I've got far bigger issues to worry about. They've now had 10 shots to our 3. What is going on? I don't know what it is this season about our domestic form. Whether it's just they're not fired up because there's so many big games in Europe. Whether it's the physicality, as you can see people like Mallon and knackered already. I don't know, but it has been disastrous. And I don't actually know where to turn with some of this now. Because I don't see how we resolve the issue. I'm going to make those 2 changes. In fact, I'll take O'Reilly off as well, because he's not been much better. But we haven't really got a midfielder with any vision. I am going to leave Ray in the playmaker role, but I know he's not right for it. But I don't really understand how we come back from this. It's not like it's been because Eastwood's in goal and we've let in 3 or 4 despite being good. We've just had no tempo and no fluidity whatsoever. On the counter against Anderlecht, we look good. Here, we look all at sea. And even down the wings, look at us getting outplayed there. Carvalho in, and it's 2-0. And this is starting to become a real worry. The Hamilton game and the first 2 games of the season is just because the strikers were off form. Here, we are getting outclassed by a very, very average team. And a side that have not picked up a point all season are going to beat us comfortably at this rate. I don't really know what to do here. It's so chalk and cheese this season, and after a wonderful first year, it's all going wrong very quickly. McNulty's put that in, and he's been adjudged to have been offside as well. So it isn't looking great there. Jack, remember going to watch Burnley beat Liverpool in the FA Cup third round in 2005? Oh, Jimmy Traore's own goal. That was brilliant, wasn't it? Well, they did the same for us a few years later, Jack. John Arnorisa scored an own goal at Kenilworth Road to make it 1-1. And that replay at Anfield with 40,000 probably saved us because we went into administration between the two games. We lost half the team. Don Hutchinson played centre-half at about 35 against Fernando Torres. And I think up front we had Paul Furlong on his own. We had a left-back playing centre-half. And then about 3 weeks later in the league, we had 4 left-backs playing across the back 4. All left-footed. It was brilliant to watch. But we've recovered. 13 is the most of any London club. So yeah, definitely. Darren Watson, amazing in this year's game. Was great for me at Stirling and Coventry. He's doing a job for Ayr. And to be honest, looking at his form, I'm kind of wishing we hadn't loaned him out. I'm looking at this now and thinking, how long before I start the likes of Morris and Finn Malcolm and give them a go? Because if they do well in the Cup in the week, we have to play them. Because Shankland's really struggled to recover after the summer away. He played for Scotland in the Euros. And he hasn't brought back any form with him. He scored no Scottish Premier League goals, 6 starts. Got a couple in Europe in the qualifier. And 1 in the Cup, and that's it. McNulty, only 2 goals. It's not quite the vintage we were hoping for, is it? And even though McNulty was with us last year on loan, because he's come back now as a new signing on another permanent or a loan deal, they lose that sort of combination play, that ability to play with each other, which doesn't make sense. But there we go. Bold claim to say Arsenal are the biggest team since Roman arrived. In English football, Arsenal have been the biggest team in London. And I said, despite the 15 years with Roman at Chelsea, Arsenal have still got the biggest trophy cabinet. So I think you have to fairly say it. Yeah, the Champions League grassroots coach, thank you for popping in. You do make a good point. The Champions League and Europa League could put that in close call. But I don't know. I guess for us growing up, the first 10 years, it was always United and Arsenal at the top. And that's going to be hard to remove. But in terms of pure number in a trophy cabinet, you have to say that. Roma Inter today. Is that on? I'm going to have a look. Because there's always one Serie A game on Free Sports every weekend in the UK. So let me just see. Which one is it? Or is there one today? There might not be, actually. Doesn't look like there is. No, I can't see one. No, not till next weekend. So I won't be able to watch that, unfortunately. Gaming, I like Arsenal's kit. Jeez. We're not getting into that debate, are we? It's weird how it works in England compared to the continental view. Yeah, but the Europa League's never really been valued in England for some reason. And I don't know why. I think it's a brilliant competition, but there we go. Craig was always going to say Chelsea. I guess that's the thing, Tom, isn't it? It's the way they've done it that a lot of people don't like. 50 million youth players out on loan. That's something we discussed in today's podcast, isn't it? More training needed, I feel. Yeah, but I don't know what on, to be honest. Because it wasn't like there was one area we were poor. We were defensively poor out wide and in the middle. We weren't looking good in front of goal. The training plan's pretty balanced to try and work on all of them. And we're not really improving in any. So I might just have to go a bit more gung-ho for one area. But let me catch up with the chat and then we'll go and pick this team for the League Cup game. It's going to be very heavily rotated. I can warn you of that now. Jack Payton, most successful team of this century, London is blue. Yeah, I don't know. I feel a little bit uneasy saying that, to be honest. You don't have the biggest club stadium in the city, that's true. Well, neither do Chelsea. In fact, Chelsea got one of the smallest of the Premier League clubs, haven't they? Let's just also say our favourite London club is Palace. I'm managing them in my off-camera save. My granddad supports them, so Palace for me is the London team. There we go. That ends the debate. Well, Gaming, I don't think you could say there would have been a mid-table game without. A mid-table team without, because they were always in the sort of Europa League or Champions League just before anyway. That's what I said, Craig. Don Hutchinson plays centre-back in the replay against Torres. That's what I said. We went into administration between the first tie and the replay. So then we ended up with Hutchinson centre-half. Good. I think Alan Goodall played with him. Left-back was either Davis or Emmanuel. I can't remember which. I think Richard Jackson might have played right-back. But yeah, it was a brilliant night out. And I had to resit an exam because I missed it to go to watch Liverpool-Luton. Wrexham surviving League One, that centre-half sailed. So there you go. You've got them up a couple of leagues. Tom, Spurs had a couple of thousand seats to be petty. They will win something this year. I would be shocked if they don't win that Carabao Cup final. I think most people do prefer Arsenal to Chelsea just because of the sort of the way that Chelsea have got to where they are. Macca, you have hit the nail on the head of what I would love to say. Thank you for pointing it out. I've never understood this obsession with who is the bigger club. No, I don't think anyone does really mind. I'm completely with you. And the same, I'll be honest, even with like rivals and things like that, I can't grow a hatred of that level, you know. I don't really care if the rivals do all right, as long as we're doing well, you know. Jack, yeah, you've said Mac a good point. Yeah, but to be fair, Chelsea aren't the only big team with 100 youngsters out on loan. I think they're all guilty of the same. Craig's favourite London club is Dulwich Hamlet. Tom, it's natural to want your club to be the biggest in the city? I don't know. Well, Luton are definitely the biggest team in Luton, so there you go. I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, Brophy signed a new deal. We tried to sign him, but then the asking price, even before his new deal, went from 300 grand to 800. So there you go. You said 4 left-backs across the line. I said a couple of weeks later in the league, we ended up with 4 left-backs across the line. Well, whoever was our remaining centre-half, I can't remember who it was, went off injured. We had, I think, Emmanuel right-back, Davis left-back, and then George Bevan and... Who was the other one? George Bevan and the other one of Davis, or Davis was centre-half, I think. Oh, Alan Goodall, sorry. So Goodall and Bevan centre-half. Then Davis left back, Emmanuel right back was the lineup, I think. Or it might have even been Jake Howes rather than Emmanuel. But yes, Craig, I said 4 left backs across the back line a couple of weeks later in the league. Yeah, Liverpool was a great night. Hope you Chelsea fans remember the ghost goal. Oh, don't start that, please. Can't be doing that. You weren't even born when the ghost goal happened. Dulwich Hamlet have great fans. Yeah, I knew you'd like them. Craig's team is the biggest in Luton. I don't think they are. Well, he manages the reserve team, so their first team play at Luton's training ground. Tom, good question. When's JJ getting an England call? It's got to be the next squad, hasn't it? If he's fit, he's got to get in that squad. It would almost be... I mean, if people keep getting picked ahead of him that are playing averagely, I don't know what you can do. And Leicester should be one of the big clubs now. It shouldn't be a favouritism thing, should it? Right, Siegrist is injury prone still, so we're going to play Eastwood. Let's get in as many reserves as we can. So Leif Davis left back. I don't even know who our backup right back is now. We're going to play Pearson at centre half, perhaps with Reynolds. He's still got enough physicality, so we'll play him there today. Right back will be either Fuchs or perhaps this youngster Lewis Nielsen. If not, he'll be on the bench. He is a centre half naturally, Nielsen, but his attributes at the moment suit right back. You see a lot where they start in midfield or fullback and then gradually work him. Into midfield, we'll have Glenn Ray up there. We're going to have Logan Chalmers on the left. Luke Bolton could play right back or right midfield. And in centre mid, who's the other backup normally? Fuchs, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm going to play Fuchs right back and I'm going to play Mockery as the playmaker. And up front, I'm going to go for Malcolm and Morris. I don't know who's better as the advanced and the poacher. I think that way's the best. Fotheringham will be on the bench, as will that other lad Nielsen. And then we'll work around it from there. So, Mitchell. In fact, maybe Sporrell due to the lack of morale for Mitchell. Matheson. O'Reilly's not quite fit, so he can go in there. Duffy's had a poor start to the season. And who's going to be the one to play up front? High risk of injury for McNulty. High for Shankland. Doesn't look good, does it? McNulty's got the lower injury susceptibility. So he's there. We have rested as many as possible. let's just see what happens. It's the best team we can go for. There's a lot of young blood in there. Maybe it'll make a difference. The whole outfield team changed. I got him on a pre-contract because he got transfer listed after he refused to sign a new deal. It never happened in this save, unfortunately. But I guess on ours, Hibbs went down, so we got Stevie Mallon on the cheap, didn't we? I tried to get Nisbet as well, but didn't work out. But probably a good job based on the head coach the other day. Goal of the round. Oh, definitely James Justin. Brilliant. I still hope you Chelsea fans remember. Yeah, so the Talbot didn't play in defence. Talbot was a centre forward when he was with us. So Drew Talbot would have played up front in that game. Because he's become a right back since at Chesterfield. Left back will have been either Emmanuel or Davis. Or maybe Jake Howes if he was playing by then. But yeah, Talbot was playing up front back then. Or right wing at the very most. Gone ahead of Kevin Foley as the best Lutonian footballer. Well, I guess Kevin Foley played international games, didn't he? It's hard to tell because out of all the youth ones that played for Luton, you can't remember which ones are from Luton or not. That's the only difficulty. The first ghost goal I can think of was a Bundesliga game where the ball was headed in the side letting, but it went through a hole in the net. Oh dear. Grassroots coach, Jesus. I can't wait for Marine Spurs. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It will be a fairly heavy beating, but I can't wait for it. Yeah, the ghost goal it's not hard to get, is it? It's just a genuine mistake by half a yard or whatever. The Chelsea-Barcelona game was worse. You had suspicions when you watched that, didn't you? I always hate that. You get like 2 or 3 games a decade where you think, I'm suspicious of this. They're always the ones that worry me. It was bad refereeing display that game. I think bad's a polite way of putting it. And thank you for being family friendly on that front. United got Partick Thistle or Cowden beef. And Dundee will be put out by St Johnstone. I don't know about that. Dundee have been a little bit hit and miss this season, haven't they? And Glenray scored again in the Cup. He scored a few when he first came in last year. And in that box-to-box role, he's done all right. And to be fair, he started scoring for Luton this year in real life as well. So we can't argue. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Almost up to 20 now. Please chuck a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make such a difference. We got this game plus 2 more to go as Glen Ray's opened the scoring for us today. But now we're on the back foot again as Bowie's down the right-hand side. Back to Tate the fullback. Chance to cross for the host in towards Slattery. And that is a stunning save from Simon Eastwood. Got a really strong hand on that as well. Flying up to his right. And now it's an in-swinging corner to deal with. We always see goals from in-swinging corners. And Shaughnessy puts it over the bar. 20 minutes gone. We're just about on top. But it's been a fairly even game in truth. Celtic and Rangers got their home tie, of course. Marine Spurs. I don't think it'll be like anything massive. But it'll get a few. Yeah, grassroots coach. You're right in terms of why BBC show it. It just worries me. Because with BT, they don't have that sort of concern. But hopefully with all of the games being free to air next season, they'll at least pick 2 or 3 per round each, you know. They're going to get, 4 ties a round each, I think, from the 3rd round. So if they can pick 2 or 3 good ones and then 1 rubbish one, we'll take it. Jamal Lewis is from Luton, I think. Not sure about Aarons. I thought it was the other way round. Let's have a look. Max Aarons is... No, he's from London. Jamal Lewis, the Northern Irish international, is from Luton, yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's got to be James Justin, hasn't it? I was trying to think of like the ones we had before, like the Matty Upsons, the Matt Taylors. But I don't think any of them were actually from Luton. They just ended up playing for us. No, so neither of them were. I can't think of anyone better. Certainly not in our generation, no. I was just trying to think of those 90s kids. Maybe Curtis Davis, is he from Luton? Because I guess he had a very good career, didn't he? Curtis Davis. No, he's from London as well. So, yeah, I don't think I can argue with you based on that. Watford v Reading had the ghost goal. You're absolutely right. Yes, Max Aarons used to play for Crawley Green. Spot on. Team was... Let's have a look. Brill, Jackson, Hutchinson, Keane, Goodall. Oh. Who was left back then? Was it maybe Jackson left back, Keane right back? I'm trying to work it out there. Bell, Robinson, Curry, Spring was definitely the midfield four. Andrew and Talbot would have been the front two. So either will have been Keane and Hutchinson centre half, or Keane right back, Jackson left back, Goodall and Hutchinson centre back. I mean, I can't remember much of it other than the woeful Chinese takeaway that we found afterwards, because everything else was shut. Obviously, weren't thinking the Luton game being a big night out. It was still nearly full, to be fair. Kieran Sheridan, thanks for popping in. Partick Thistle had a ghost goal a couple of seasons ago. Ball hit the net and sprung back out. Ref and linesman were clueless. We all make mistakes. Predicted lineup for the England test. Oh, I don't know what they're going to go with. They have to go 2 spinners down there, surely. We'll wait and see, but I think based on the warm-up for the test, Crawley will probably open. Or Crawley will probably be in the team, sorry. I don't know other than that. There's a couple of to-be-confirms in there. Losing Ali as the second spinner will be a harm, because he will have come back for that game. Yeah, Luton always pick a few from Crawley Green, Hitchin, all the locals, the Dunstables. We were holding on 0-0 to Ryan Babel scored. Yeah, absolutely. Wrexham fan paced almost 450. Yeah, I saw that was going quite well, wasn't it? Goodall left, Keane right. No, because Jackson wouldn't have played centre-half. Jackson definitely played one of the fullbacks, Craig. It's whether Goodall or Keane played centre-half with Hutchison, because Don Hutchison was definitely centre-back. Unless there was an early injury. And that perhaps what I'm thinking about. Was the back four not... But then there's no one else to play there, is there? I don't know if Don Hutchison, did he start centre-half or end up centre-half? Best and Leach? Perhaps, but I don't know. I don't think that either of those spinners are that level, to be honest, but they haven't really got much choice. Joe Root will obviously be the utility extra. Well, I had a bigger problem, Craig, because I had a school test rearranged because it was due to be a GCSE, part of the GCSE exam. So I went to watch the Liverpool game and then we got caught on TV. So it didn't go too well. But there you go. What can you do about it? It's part of the fun of growing up. Right, we've won 1-0 the first half. I'm pretty happy with where we are. Carlton Morris, again, without scoring a goal, has had a good game up there. And I wonder if we just drop Shankland out for a week or so. Maybe a couple of the Europa games and just say, have a rest. Perhaps we will. As Doyle Hayes brings it forward. We could well turn this around very quickly, though, and throw away 2 goals. We did in Anderlecht. But we've got a couple of other youngsters to bring on as well. So we've got to be cautious. As Slattery gets it into Bowie. Back to Slattery again. And he hits the woodwork. It was nearly 1-1. So certainly not worth celebrating victory just yet. As Bolton wins the throw-in. Very good play from the youngster there. And we start the second half just surviving. 3 years since the Newcastle Cup trip. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Was it 3 years? Oh yeah, it was 2018, wasn't it? Jeez. It's going quicker. 3 years since Newcastle. 2 years next weekend since we went to Sunderland when Mick Arthur took over from Nathan Jones. Brilliant days in the North East. Well, it was 2 years ago with Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't it? Jones' last game. But I think it was the 11th of January we went to Sunderland. So tomorrow will be the 2-year anniversary of it. One of my very favourite away games. Probably my favourite in league football. As Fuchs gets it to Mockery. Over the top to Malcolm. Just overhit. That could have been a perfect goal for the 2 youngsters. But it wasn't quite to be. Next week in Syria is Lazio Roma Friday night. Sunday night's into Juventus. Blimey. I want to see which ones are on TV next week now then. Let's get to next Friday. There's not... The Friday night one isn't. Saturday, none. Sunday... No, they've only got Brazilian football on there. None of the Serie A games are on free TV next week, which is unusual for them. We've gone 2-0 up now. Finn Malcolm's got his goal. He seems to be a goal scorer. And he is starting to improve. I just wonder if we get him in that team. He's in a mentoring group now as well. will he just improve really quickly? That's got to be the hope. Let's get Kai Fotheringham on. He's the other youngster. He's going to go... Which side? He's naturally a right-sider. So do you bring him on for Bolton? I want to bring on Nielsen as well. He'll replace Mockery, who's had an hour. Fuchs will go into the middle. Nielsen to fullback. Out wide. I don't know what to do with the two wingers, really. Which one needs the fitness more? Duffy is in excellent condition, as is Sporrell. Oh, I don't know. Fotheringham's definitely coming on. He's going to replace Luke Bolton. Chalmers will be replaced by Duffy. Let's do it. We've got 20 minutes to go. We're 2-0 up. We have to get through here, surely. Who would open with Sibley if that happens? Oh, I don't know. Maybe Crawley? I'd push him. I don't know. Sibley and Crawley, perhaps. I'm not sure which would be best. I know it's not ideal because Crawley would be 3, but you never know. Craig battered Newcastle second half. Dodgy offside goal ruled out. It's probably one of the saddest things. We gave them so much respect in the first half. And it ended up costing us the game because the second half, we hit the woodwork. We had one of the worst offside decisions, as you mentioned, and we scored the goal. But it's just, you can't give teams a 3-goal head start. And it's such a shame because we were doing really well, as Fuchs puts that in really well too. But yeah, we just sort of laid down the first half. I watched the Australia documentary on Prime. It was class. Oh, I haven't got that, so I can't see it, unfortunately. Tom, mortgage or a trip to Australia for the Ashes? Definitely the first one. I never get why people give up like 5 years of their life in terms of money just to go on a 2-week trip. Would you give Denley another go? No. He really struggled in the Big Bash this morning as well, so definitely not. He's not the right solution. He's a sort of man who, if you have a massive game and you need to just fill a hole in the squad, he'll do the job for you. But he's not the sort of person... These sorts of test series are to give the youngsters a chance. Put them in. I mean, Ollie Pope will come straight back in when he's fit, but I don't think he can play the first test. And it's a shame because he looked really good in the warm-up, but I think they said he was still coming back from his injury. Right, we've got the semi-final draw here. Rangers are out, so we wouldn't mind Hamilton and Motherwell. And then a repeat of Celtic in the final when we're back in form. Dundee United are at home. Please don't be Celtic. It's Hamilton. So that is a chance to reach the final, isn't it? And it will be in the next episode, I'd imagine. If we get through these two to the end of the month, we'll play Rangers and Ayr off camera. Hopefully one defeat, one win. And then the next episode can be the double header against the Hungarians, who we should be beating in the Europa League. Aberdeen and Motherwell away, and the Cup semi-final against Hamilton. What about Roy? I don't know. I really don't know about Roy. I think he's a brilliant limited overs player. I just don't think he's ever got the discipline to be a quality test player. Not at this stage anyway. So for me, no. Because I think they're so reliant on him in one day. But then Alex Hales has been smashing up the Big Bash this year. So you don't know. Tom Boring, MCG on Boxing Day. Well, the only good thing about the Ashes next winter is hopefully there'll be a new cricket game, which I definitely look forward to and be able to give a go. So, the last cricket game on the channel, I wasn't making brilliant content. It was very early in the days of the channel, but it went very well, and I'd love to do it again. So, that might be a new hope for the cricket game next winter. And combined with the release of FM, could be a massive month for me. Certainly have to get some time off work for that, wouldn't we? I'm getting up in the middle of the night to watch the Ashes. Oh, dear. Well, the away Ashes should still be on BT, I think, shouldn't they? So I'll be able to watch them. I can never watch the home ones. Right. St Mirren. Second time in a week. This time it's the league. So we're going back to the first team. Who didn't they take out? They left Bolton in instead of Duffy. I don't know what's going on with Duffy. He's just started the season really poorly. And there's no sort of explanation as to why. He's got a high risk of injury as well, so maybe it's just fatigue and we'll leave him out for a week. But then there's a few saying that, and most of them have had a week off now. Mallon's saying it, Sporrell's saying it, Shankland and McNulty too. So it is just the extra games, I think, that are causing the troubles. Onto the bench will go Pearson and Ray. Don't know why they're putting Nielsen there instead. That seems bizarre, because Pearson is definitely, at the moment, the better defender of the two. Do I chuck Finn Malcolm on the bench just as an extra option? I think perhaps. But who for is the bigger question, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we do take Pearson off then. Finn Malcolm on the bench for Pearson. Let's go and just check quickly that he's in that mentoring group. Oh, he's not. Right, let me go and add this very quickly. If you wanted a quick tutorial on mentoring groups, here they are. Personality order. Let's find some with very good ones who are more senior players. So the likes of Reynolds and Duffy. The likes of Ray. I prefer professional to determined. Resolute works well for us. So if we put those three in and see their influence, they're all very big. If we then go to the slightly younger ones who aren't perhaps that personality, get past all of these and look at the balanced. We've got Nielsen, Malcolm, Mockery. Who's the fourth one? It's normally Fotheringham, but I think he's already driven, so that's fine. Logan Chalmers is balanced. Matt O'Reilly's balanced. We're not going to worry about the loan ones. We're just going to do the permanents, and we'll put all those in. So they've all got an effect from the group that's average or significant. They've got not real much influence on it. And the three big ones at the top have got a big influence. So that's exactly what we're going to go for. And hopefully with our good training facilities, that will work this year. Because if Finn Malcolm sorts that side of it out, we've seen how good he can be. And the head coach, he's a world beater at the Scottish Premier League level. But that's the lineup. That's the squad we're going for. And we've got a goal scorer off the bench if we need one. Thank you to everyone in as well. Good to have you all here this morning. Thank you for the extra thumbs up as well. Do much appreciate it. Just this game and then our final one of the month in the Europa League. Ricardo Gardner, the former Bolton legend, is in charge of St Mirren. I didn't notice that in midweek. So let's go and get into the match. We need some form from somewhere. Some momentum for this first team. Game, and I can't wait for the new cricket game. If you haven't made that cricket series, I might not be it. Well, that's the thing. I know a lot of people from the cricket game, it didn't have the longevity. But at first, when the new game came out, everyone, because it was 3 or 4 months before the Ashes, everyone was making sort of random videos and then or a career and then doing the Ashes when the Ashes were on. But I made the Ashes test match straight away. Because we've managed to go behind already. I might just have to play the reserves in the league. I know they're a worse team, but they're in better form. But then it just got loads of views. It wasn't great, which is a shame. Because if it had been like my content is now, which is much better and much more relaxed, it probably would have done even better. But for the next game, hopefully that will be the case. I don't expect the away Ashes test to go quite as well as the home one, but fingers crossed it'll be alright. Tom, going to try and get to an A-League game. Well, you've got to go to Melbourne Victory, haven't you? Because they've got Ryan Shotton's just signed there, and they've got Jacob Butterfield and Callum McManaman. McManaman scored a screamer on his debut last week. So you've got to go there as a Luton man. If you get messages in the middle of the night, I won't be answering them, I can promise you that. Well, cricket's a distinguished taste, isn't it? It's not for everyone. Me and Tommy are old at heart, so it's not quite so bad for us. As Sporrell picks the ball up on halfway, he goes out to Shankland. We just need goals from these two. McNulty gets it left side. Can he get it in Shankland, who really needs the goal? Crosses towards O'Reilly, falls for Sporrell. Back to McNulty. It still doesn't go in. How has that not found its way into the net? I do not know. And this league form is starting to become a big concern. And if we go out of the Europa League as well, which will probably finish third, I don't know that we recover because we could suddenly be under job threat, remarkably. As Doyle Hayes gives it away in the middle. It's gone long, it's flicked on, and Siegrist will get there. What is he doing? Goes long over the top, gets away with it. Shankland picks it up, into the box. His shot's blocked. Last season, he's composed. He's scoring those. He's trying to dink them over the keeper. This year, just panics. Game, do you fancy a new game on a new cricket game? Yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. The little 5-5 games will do. What will Carl do when Shotton retires? It will leave a big void, won't it? Unless there's another wonder kid who's going to be the next Ryan Shotton. Can you search on media description in the player search? Just compare to media description, the next Ryan Shotton. Everton beat Arsenal in the FA Cup final on my save. Was it last year with Dorking where the first year Nottingham Forest won the FA Cup against Manchester City? They then went really well in the Europa League but got relegated to League One the second season. Then they won the title. They were just like the most action-packed club of the series. It was remarkable. As Walker picks it up at left-back for St Mirren. And again, I'm really concerned about this performance. Every time our first 11 is fielded, we look so vulnerable. We look really poor, but Matheson picks it up again. This game, at least, we have had chances. We've just not made the most of them. As Walker gets it again. Down the left-hand side, beats his man Matheson. Cuts it back. And it's just all too comfortable. St Mirren don't really look like they're under any threat. They look like they're building in confidence. And that's what we allowed St Johnstone to do. After an even start, we just let them play. We let them get through. And it's going to be 2, is it? No. Seagrass saves the day. But this is a really worrying performance yet again. They've only had 2 shots on target, St Mirren. The goal and that one we just saw. But there's not fight. There's no real intent to get forward and get goals. So I don't know what we're going to do here. Again, it's the same players not playing well. The strikers are both poor. Oh, I'm just going to do it. I know they're not as good, but Morris is going to come on alongside Malcolm. In midfield, Mallon's anxious. He's high risk of injury. Glenn Ray on. He scored in the last game. And we just hope we get something. It really is a worry. Has anyone got any ideas? What can I do? Matheson gives it to Morris from the throw. Matheson in. Finn Malcolm's there. Blocked to Sporrell who scores. But Finn Malcolm in the box. Just throwing himself at everything. And even though he's out, he's got nowhere near the quality. He's in form. And that makes a difference. Tom, can you do giant throws on FIFA? Yeah, you used to be able to. It used to be about the only way I scored. Before I was very good at it. What game was it we had? I'm trying to think what year it was, whether it was Swansea QPR or what other ones we had around it. There was definitely one year where I used to do the long throw against you. I can't remember where it was though. I'm trying to think of the players it might have been. But no, I definitely did it against you one year in FIFA. It's not changed. Right, we have nicked a draw. We'll take it. I'm going to say I'm not happy, but in truth, I'll take the point. We just need to get on the board in the end. Let's catch up with the chat again. Shotton needs a kid, yeah, in the game. Oh, Carl, you've got a scouting set up for it. Fair enough. Well, I don't want to spoil too much of today's head coach, but I might have found one. So, we'll see how that goes. Ricardo Gardner was held on his birthday, apparently. What a man. He was some player in his prime. In Allardyce's Bolton team with half the old Galacticos. What a player. I mean, we are a bit worried about this, but don't forget, the club vision is to finish in the top half. Or oh, no, it's not. It's qualify for the Europa League. Jeez. We're never getting third, are we? We're already... Although we're only 5 points behind, because the rest of the teams are all beating each other. So if we do go out of Europe, I guess second half of the year we can push for it. But Darren Watson's still the top scorer in the league, and Era's still picking up points. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play everyone against Besiktas. I'm going to rest everyone against Rangers. And then we'll go back vice versa afterwards. Because we've got to count our battles, and Rangers isn't it this year. I'm going to get the 4 youngsters into the under-23 team. Just get them as much football as possible in the reserves. But that's going to be a tough last game of the morning against Besiktas, I think. Particularly the way we're playing. Who's going to be someone like Australia, India, and who's going to be England? Well, I've never minded whether I'm England or not. I prefer to be realistic with the batting, so I guess someone like India would probably suit me. Zeno, I want to play Tony Pulis football. Thank you for popping in. To be fair, you can do it. With Breaking, we weren't a million miles away from it. It's just we didn't have the big striker, so we were playing in behind into channels. A bit like he was towards the end of Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest. But it's definitely possible. Oh, look, the one informed striker's got an injury now. Finn Malcolm's out. Scottish Gamers, Liam here. Thank you for joining the Discord. Dundee game last night was brilliant. Playing a non-league side in a cup, and it just had the magic. It was like an FA Cup tie, which is what you want to see, isn't it? So basically, my assistant manager is telling me to pick the same team that keeps failing for the Besiktas match. Well, I mean, the home games are important, aren't they? In the head coach, we got 10 points with Dundee, still didn't get through. So we know the Europa League can be hard. I'm slipping down a chair again. Dylan back, welcome along. Thank you for joining in. Ready for the last game of this morning. Plan a trip with Berkey in April. Might beg him to do a Fort William game. I'd be very surprised if you're able to do that in April, given the way we're going at the moment. But I appreciate your ambition. And to be fair, if we're back to normal in April, I'm going to as much English football as possible at new grounds resuming the 92. Fort William's a brilliant place. And you're not enjoying Willian at Arsenal, are you? L Gaming, does Michael McArthur play for you? He doesn't. He's out on loan. He obviously played for us at Brecon, didn't he, on loan? He has gone to Dumbarton. He's not good enough, in truth. He's never going to be. Only 2.5 star potential. Right, final game of the morning. I think we're going to go for the same 11. It's just maybe Duffy in for Bolton. Yeah, Duffy in for Bolton. Otherwise, we've got to put Pearson back on the bench because Finn Malcolm's not available. I might bring Carlton Morris in. I'm really tempted to do it, but I don't know who for again. So I'm just going to leave it. It's the last one in the morning, and then we'll go back to the drawing board off camera. We can experiment against Rangers, try something different, maybe even a tactical change. But let's get through the Besiktas match. Maybe this can be the turning point. He's a good player at the lower levels. It depends how good he becomes, doesn't it? Long throw expert, someone with decent set piece and corners, anyone over 6'5", and you can score loads of goals. It's all it takes sometimes, isn't it? It's just to be, and that's what I mean when I said earlier about don't pick a tactic because someone tells you I had success with this. Pick the tactic that suits your team. So like at Brecon, we had loads of short, quick players who didn't have much technical ability. So we played as long as possible, passed it into the space, and let them run in behind and cause chaos. Because if they get 60 chances in 10 games, they'll score 10, 15 of them at worst. And then you can move forward and still score goals. So that's always what I would encourage. And here we come forward with Finley. Switches to the right to Michael Duffy. Selected against the assistant's advice. Gets it back to Stevie Mallon. And that is the start we were looking for. 1-0 after 2.5 minutes. We need this to be the turning point. Carl Long for X. Oh, sorry, I've answered that one. We'll be watching a video tonight looking for Shotton. So it's not Ryan Shotton tonight, but there's some form of glimmer of hope for replacement. Carl, I hated the football watching Stoke with Tony Pulis, but I love it on FM. I always thought they were alright to watch, you know. I used to quite enjoy it. I never got this thing with like direct football. I can't remember who it was. They said Neil Warnock, wasn't it? They kept saying, there was some people saying I was long ball football, but it's not. That QPR side he had played remarkable football. They were brilliant to watch. He played good football with Palace at times. He played fairly decent football at most of his other clubs. Cardiff played alright as well. Take out. It seems like every time a team puts a long throw in, people assume they just play long ball football, but there are a few that get sort of shoehorned when they're not like that. As the ball comes forward, Mengi intercepts for Mallon. Here's Finley. Wide to Mitchell, and now a chance to come forward. Here's Sporrell. Back to Finley again. We're keeping it better now. Is the confidence going to grow? That's the question as we go through this game. Sporrell finds Mitchell on the left-hand side. Gets the ball in from the byline. There's Duffy, and now Michael Duffy scored again. The assistant said don't pick him, and now he's got a goal and an assist in the first 15 minutes. What an absolute hero. Thank you for all the support this morning as well. Let me know which game you're watching of the half-one kickoffs, because there's quite a few available. If I let you know the games, there is. On BBC One, it's Crawley v Leeds. On BBC iPlayer, it is City Birmingham and Chelsea Morecambe. And on the FA player, it's Barnsley Tranmere, Bristol City Pompey, and Cheltenham v Mansfield in the FA Cup third round. I think I'm going to go for Chelsea Morecambe. It was great when it worked, but some of the games were so drab. But Tony Pulis was one of the best at nicking points off the big boys, as we've managed to concede as well. Like, against Arsenal, you just knew what was going to happen at the start, and it worked most of the time. It was... I used to really enjoy watching their side. As the header away from Finley finds McNulty. Can we get Lawrence Shankland a goal? McNulty's going alone. Shankland's up with him. McNulty goes all the way. It's a good save by the keeper. Oh, it should have been 3. It really should. And it's an in-swinging corner from Stevie Mallon. Chance to get it in front post. Doesn't beat the first man, but he's trying to hit a very narrow window, to be fair to him. So I can understand why not. But we've been the better side here against Besiktas. We deservedly lead. They've scored a very good goal, but we've got to keep that confidence up. They're playing a narrow diamond, which is allowing our width to get in, and Duffy's had a field day, as of the 2 fullbacks. They've got good players. Ozzakon's the international in centre mid. Who's Cresswell at centre half? Aaron Cresswell's playing centre half for Besiktas. Is that Seamus Coleman as well? It is. Half of their back 4 is Seamus Coleman and Aaron Cresswell, and they're having an absolute horror show against us. Adam Lajic, the former United man, in the number 10 as well. But time to make subs for us. O'Reilly, still not playing that well. It will be Glenn Ray on for him, I think. No, let's do Fuchs today. More defensively minded. Mitchell's on a yellow, so I'll bring on Leif Davis. And it's Shankland again. Carlton Morris will come on for him. It's just such a shame. He's really not come to the party this season. He might just need a 2-week holiday at some point. But 15 to go and we're in good shape. So fingers crossed it stays that way. Ravenite, nothing wrong with long ball anyway if it gets you results. Absolutely. I would say that there's a difference between direct and long ball in coaching. That's the only thing I always found difficult to get across to people. Sam Allardyce's team was never long ball. You don't have a midfield with Ivan Campo, JJ Okocha and Stelios Giannakopoulos. They don't join a team that plays long ball football. They played directly. They played via Kevin Davis and Henrik Pedersen. But they played good football. They were a joy to watch at times. I think people forget very quick how good some of that football was. I always use that as an example anyway. As Nesset picks it up on the right, we can't throw this away surely. Into the box, it's going to be a pen. You can just tell it. You can just tell it. Every time there's a challenge, there's basically a penalty in every game now since the update. Go Muck and High, enjoying the game. How do you scout lower league players? Thank you for popping in. So in terms of the lower league scouting, I try to keep the focuses as generic as possible. Because when you haven't got the best scouts, if you sort of go down to a very niche set of settings that you want to get, you're not really going to get many players. So I try to keep it as general as possible and then filter myself. Obviously, in a head coach, I don't have to worry about signings anyway. And otherwise, use the director of football suggestions. For the coaching team, it's normally backroom team advice or job adverts, because we don't use the staff search screen either. And somehow, if you look at those stats, and the goals, expected goals is only because of the pen, I don't know how we've drawn that game. And that's going to be a confidence killer again. A good performance, though, a better display. And if Lawrence Shankland was on scoring form, we would be winning most of these matches. As it is, though, the Hungarians who we had as the bankers are top of the group. And that's going to make it very difficult the next 2 games. Even Press went to Posh in my save and we loaned him for next 2 seasons. So he's a very good player, Even Press. I signed him obviously at Bangor to stop him leaving the nation, because it's building the nation, not just us. He's actually I'm recorded up towards the end of the season now. He's not in my first 11 anymore. That's how good our Bangor team's getting. It's stupid, the pen system. It's my first experience of VAR this year, in this year's game with the Europa League. They've made it a lot easier on the screen, but I don't like the way it looks. It's not helping me out at all. However, the finances are being helped by our run. We are doing okay. It's another couple $100,000, isn't it? Pays our wage bill for a couple of weeks. But I think that's where we're going to leave it this morning. There's plenty of content across the 2 channels today. We've got our special podcast over on that channel at 12 o'clock. We've got the head coach with our new club at 3:30, so please do make sure you don't miss that. Tomorrow's championship predictions over there, Bangor City over here. There's so much to look forward to. We'll be back on Tuesday at 5:30 with Dundee United. We're going to play the next 2 games off camera, and we'll be back for the next 2 Europa League games, the Cup semi-final, and Motherwell and Aberdeen away in the league. And that's all to come on Tuesday evening. So thank you all for your incredible support this evening. Thank you as always for making the chat so active. And I'll see you on Tuesday night. I hope you have a good weekend or rest of it. And I hope you enjoy the FA Cup ties. Thanks for watching.